Oh, apparently hasn't started yet.
It says live on mine.
Okay, so we're live, but my YouTube is not telling me we're live. Oh, there we go. We're live. Okay.
Awesome.
I just have to pause us. All right. I guess I say hello. I'm leading this one. I completely forgot. So hi, everybody. Welcome back to Coffee&Chapters channel for our Coffee&Chapters and Christian YA Book Club live show. We are talking about the Silent Songbird, and we have a special guest. So we do have our usual guest, Melanie, but then now I have an additional Melanie to kind of keep straight between the two of them. So welcome to Melanie Dickerson.
Hi.
Yay!
So we're super excited to have Melanie. This is our second author appearance, and it's just so much fun to have authors that are really involved in their fan base as well. And so we're really excited to have Melanie. So we're going to be chatting a bit about her latest release, The Silent Songbird, which I still don't have a physical copy of.
I do right here.
There we go. There we go. Beautiful. I love the cover reveals for all of Melanie's books. Melanie, you got blessed with excellent.
Yes, definitely. I love my covers.
Yeah. I think I complained on Facebook to you once, though, that they're like the covers don't match.
Yeah.
Matching the last of the Thornbeck books to match the rest of these ones.
Yeah, they decided to make it look like my other two young adult books because they wanted to release it as a young adult book. So I was a little sad that they did not have it match the other two books in the series, but I don't think most people have even noticed. You're one of the few.
I think, yeah, this one looks a lot similar to the Golden Braid.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what they were for.
And then, oh, I forget the title of the third Thornbeck one.
The third one?
The Noble Servant.
Do you want me to go? I can go get the whole set.
Oh, The Noble Servant.
Oh, yes.
Melanie said it. Okay.
That's the one
that
really matched the other two books.
But I'm okay with that because I'm super excited for that book.
What I'm interested about that book, speaking about the covers really quickly, is how the geese play in that one. So we'll have to find out later. But anyways.
All right, let's not get distracted by beautiful covers.
Yes.
Look, nerds, my goodness. Okay, so Melanie, it's a quick synopsis of The Silent Songbird and what it's about. So
okay, I'm always bad at this, but it's a Little Mermaid retelling. It's loosely based on that fairy tale. The heroine is Evangeline, and she has been very sheltered in her life. She is the ward of King Richard II of England, and he has guarded her by keeping her in this castle. And anyway, she does not want to marry the person that the king has picked out for her, and so she runs away, and she meets Wesley Lewis, which is the son of Ranulph and Annabelle from The Merchant's Daughter, and the rest is just a fairy tale romance with all the ups and downs and dangerous adventures.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I am with this.
No, that was perfect.
No, that was great.
I think really quickly, should I run and grab the whole set for when we do the description of it, Angela?
Oh, I have them.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And maybe we can just do a rundown real quick. I don't know. What do you think, Angela?
Sure. I have them all here, so I'll do a rundown. And I discovered all of these. Actually, I was browsing books on christianbooks.com, and I had no idea these existed, and I bought all 5 in one shot. And the rest is history. You guys know how much I love these books, but it starts with The Healer's Apprentice, which is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. Then we have one of my favorite covers, actually, was The Fairest Beauty, and that's a Snow White retelling. And then one of my favorite fairy tales is Cinderella, and that's The Captive Maiden. Oh, I forgot The Merchant's Daughter. Okay, the second book is The Merchant's Daughter, which is one of my favorite fairy tale retellings to do, and that is the Beauty and the Beast one. And then we have The Princess Spy, which is a Princess and the Frog retelling, which I thought was really, really fascinating and well done, by the way, Melanie.
Thank you.
And then we have The Golden Braid, which is a Rapunzel retelling, and also one of my favorite covers. And then we have, Melanie can show this one off, is The Silent Songbird. And that is the Little Mermaid retelling.
Yay!
So with the Little Mermaid retelling, I've mentioned a couple of times that I'm a Little Mermaid Disney fanatic. That was my first Disney experience of my life. That was my favorite Disney movie. I drove my mom nuts watching it when I was 5 years old because we played it like every time it finished, we rewound it and watched it again. So when I found out that, Melanie, you were doing a Little Mermaid retelling, I was ecstatic because I really have yet to find one I liked.
Oh.
That hasn't kind of just, fallen flat. And I've really liked in your books how there's little elements of maybe some inspiration from Disney, and you kind of pick up on that.
Yeah.
And I think you've mentioned, too, in an interview that you are kind of inspired sometimes by Disney. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I always read the original fairy tale, but the Disney version is usually the one I'm the most familiar with, the one I've, watched a lot. And so, in the case of the Little Mermaid, the original story is kind of dark and sad, and it has a very tragic ending. And I knew I didn't want that, so I really basically took most of it from the Disney movie, but I wanted that element of, desperation and kind of almost despair that the heroine felt. I wanted to have that in the story without it, overtaking the story. And so I felt like I hit on a really good way of showing, that aspect of the original fairy tale, because the heroine was so, she was so sheltered and so, she never had a family. She never felt loved. And she was so desperate that she would risk, her life and everything, to try to find a family, to try to find love. And
Yeah.
she suffered for it because, in the original tale, the Little Mermaid, every step she took was pain because, she was a mermaid and the sea witch gave her legs, and so her feet, in the story, it was like walking on broken glass or something like that. So
well, that's interesting. I never actually read the original mermaid story, and I think I think I need to now.
I know the ending's really tragic. I know the ending. I don't think I've really read it fully myself either, but I know that it's not a happy ending.
Right. Yeah.
And that's why I prefer the Little Mermaid, like the Disney version, because you get the happily ever after, because I'm a happily ever after person. But so
I think we all are.
Yeah. So Melanie, co-host Melanie.
Yes. I was like, which one?
Yeah. I gotta figure out how to do this. All right, so co-host Melanie, if you want to give us just your full thoughts of what you thought, or your not full thoughts. This could go on forever if we did that.
Yeah.
If we did that. Not just you. But if you want to give us just your overview of what you thought.
Absolutely. Okay, so I mean, I rated it 5 stars because, of course, you know, I just love these stories that Melanie puts together. They're so well to the fairy tale, but so unique on their own. You have elements that are from the fairy tale, but they're entirely unique and just incredibly intertwined with subplots and characters that you can relate to, and just overall really, really good. I mean, this is kind of what I'm going to be putting in one of the book review I'm going to be doing. It says, staying true to Little Mermaid and yet weaving a tale like no other, Melanie brings us a story of redemption, forgiveness, and finding true love. Like, that's going to be the caption. And really, I think that just kind of sums it up. And going kind of quickly to what you were saying, Melanie, about finding like that desperation, I really felt that in the story. And in my favorite part, and it will go into my quote, is just, and that's exactly what I felt through the story. Yet you had all these subplots to kind of keep you going and get her to the final end. But yeah, overall, like always, 5 stars.
Yay.
I think, like, overall, like I've mentioned, I'm on the hunt for a good Little Mermaid retelling. And I really enjoyed this because I felt like you really took somebody who was out of their element, out of their world, and put them in another world. And I really got that from that. And then just overall, it was just really fun. And I like that there's always another plot in the background that the characters have to deal with on top of kind of their main problems as well. And that gives that danger and excitement to the story instead of just like a love story happily ever after. There's more obstacles for them to overcome. And I really enjoyed that. I think the biggest thing I enjoyed, though, was seeing the happily ever after continuation from The Merchant's Daughter. And when you're looking at Wesley as a character, you're seeing characteristics of Annabelle and, I always say his name wrong, Ranulph.
Is that how you say it, Melanie?
Ranulph is how I say it.
Okay.
And you're seeing elements of them in Wesley, and I think that was just so cool how, yeah, like Melanie, co-host Melanie, said, it kind of just continues everybody's happily ever afters.
Can I say a quick thing on that whole Ranulph?
Yes.
So going on that, Angela, I agree with you completely, because even like there was a point in the story where Wesley was, is it Wesley?
Uh-huh.
Wesley was kind of expressing his feelings, saying like how he can't live up to his father, in a sense, when he was saying like his dad just knows what to do, and kind of already, you know, that whole scene. Anyways, and I was like, that is so true to his character from the book before, and I totally love that.
Yeah. I think that's the thing with boys too, and their dads. They feel like their dad knows how to do everything, and that they don't, but they're learning from their dad. So anyway.
Yeah, we have 4 boys, totally.
Yeah.
I can't get over how many kids you have, girl.
I know. Only 5.
So you have 4 boys, 1 girl?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
I only have 2 girls.
Well, they're hard work.
Yeah.
I just have 1, and she's a lot of work.
So moving on to like talking about Ranulph, I think we'll just move right into characters, because Melanie really created I think because you're using an historical setting, there's like, you've created like a great world, but it's really historical, so a lot of the focus was more on building the characters and their worlds around them, and you've just created this great family for us to watch and enjoy how everything happens. And I'm curious as to who some of your favorite characters were to write through this series and then leading up to the Silent Songbird.
Well, Margarita was really fun. I was really worried before I started writing The Princess Spy because I knew Margarita had to be, she had already established her as being this really talkative person. And I wondered how I would make a heroine talkative without boring the reader, you know. It turned out to be just so much fun to just let her talk, and I don't know, she was just a lot of fun. That book was fun, but I think one of my favorite heroes is Sir Garrick. He just came alive when I was writing that story, and I don't know, the Golden Braid is just kind of special to me, but those characters were really, really fun to write.
I'm flipping through books trying to remember.
I know. So
yes.
can we kind of go back? So Colin and Sir Garrick, they're characters from that started or and is around the same time as the Merchant's Daughter, right?
No.
I'm wrong. This is tell us how that works again. No,
okay.
It's the first book. I'm sorry. Golden Braid was the same time as the first book, right?
No.
I'm ruining it all.
The Golden Braid happened at the same time. And while I was writing The Princess Spy, I got an idea to do a Rapunzel story, which is The Golden Braid. And so that story happened simultaneously with but I also got an idea to write the story of Colin's parents, and Colin is the hero in The Princess Spy, and his parents are Wesley and Evangeline from I'm making this so complicated from the Silent Songbird.
I knew it.
Did you know that, Angela?
I vaguely remember in The Princess Spy that Colin mentions, I think he mentions being part of the Wise family.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, he's Annabelle's grandson. But of course you don't know who his parents are.
Did you tweet me that when you read it?
No.
What? That's so crazy you figured that out.
Well, I read this one before I met you.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. I started with The Golden Braid. Maybe that's why I'm all messed up.
Okay, it's like this. The Merchant's Daughter, think of it as a trilogy. The Merchant's Daughter is the first book. The Princess Spy is the second book. It's actually, The Merchant's Daughter is the first book. The Silent Songbird would be the second book. And The Princess Spy would be the third. Because Ranulph and Annabelle.
Yes, I got it now.
The Silent Songbird. And then his son is the hero of The Princess Spy.
Right. Okay, I'm on board.
And I think, too, I read somewhere, like, I don't know if an interview or somewhere, Melanie, where you kind of mentioned that even though The Merchant's Daughter is the second book, it's more of a prequel because it happens years before He Was Apprentice, which was the first book.
Yeah, it does. When I started writing, I wasn't going to make it like a cohesive series. I was just going to write a series of fairy tale retellings that didn't relate to each other. And so I wrote The Healer's Apprentice, and then I wrote The Merchant's Daughter, and they were not related at all. But then I decided I wanted to write the story of the son of the characters in the Healer's Apprentice. So I wrote about one son, and then I wrote about another son in The Captive Maiden. And then I thought, I can bring these two together. I can do the grandson of the characters from The Merchant's Daughter and the daughter of the characters in The Healer's Apprentice.
Yeah, and I love that.
Oh man, I think one of my biggest highlights was actually reading The Golden Braid and then thinking, oh, this sounds really familiar. And then hitting me that this is the background, this is what's happening behind the scenes of this book. And then when you finally connect Rapunzel into that family, and then I remember vaguely the story of how Rapunzel was lost to that family. Oh, by the way, spoilers, guys. If anyone's watching. I don't think we actually have anybody watching, sadly, again.
Oh, well, they usually come on after anyways. Like a lot of, like, you had like over 50 or something.
I know. Like everybody comes and watches later. It's great. So we just have fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think like the biggest, I don't know, like fangirl moment. I don't know what you want to call it. I don't like the term fangirl, but the biggest like moment I had was the whole connection between these two books. And then when Silent Songbird came out, I remembered what Colin mentioned about his family, and that was that connection. And oh, it was just like that, Melanie, that was fantastic storytelling.
Yes. I mean, like I said earlier when we weren't live, was like, how do you keep track of all these? Like, I'm having a hard time. Genealogy is crazy as it is, you know, when you're trying to keep track of everybody's lines, but you do such an amazing job. Like, how do you do that?
It's because I spend months and months just buried in each story, and so they're just imprinted on my brain, I guess.
Well, it's amazing. It is a highlight because, like, when I read The Golden Braid, because I read that one first, and then I tweeted you because I bought all the other books after that. And, well, that I could buy because they weren't coming out yet. And I remember going back and reading them and going, wow, like all these are totally connected. I didn't catch the Colin thing, and now I have to read the entire series again, I think.
Yeah. And I like Melanie, I like how in most of your books too, you continue on one character, either them from a side character or, you know, you just continue on a character from the previous book, and that really invests you in the story. Like when my co-host Melanie was reading The Beautiful Pretender, I was like, you need to read The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest first. And she's like, no, this one will be fine. I'm like, no, you get spoiled for the other two. And you're like, no, this is fine. And I'm like,
I still haven't read that one, and I need to.
What?
I know. Well, I had to do a review book first. Well, you know, because I was talking. But anyways.
I actually pre-planned that series, so I knew I was going to do the Margrave story. Yeah.
That's so cool. So you already had that one pre-planned out?
Yeah, I planned the 3-book series, and the 3rd book comes out in May. So
I know. We know.
Counting down. I think like, and then moving though, I think we're just flowing right into it. So like, we're just flowing right into like the fairy tale elements. I didn't realize how much I loved fairy tale retellings until I read books like The Lunar Chronicles, and then like your books, Melanie. I just had no idea how much fun this genre is. And I find that Beauty and the Beast ends up being one of my favorite retellings. And so I really, really loved The Merchant's Daughter, because it really is about finding true love beneath the surface.
Yeah.
And so you gave us not only one Beauty and the Beast retelling, but you actually gave us 2 with The Beautiful Pretender as well. And I was just so stoked. But I love how, hold on, I have to grab those books.
The covers are awesome, so it's nice to show them.
I know. I was actually kind of sad that they didn't, because these are just beautiful. So, but I'll again, I won't go into that again. But I just loved how, because this had The Beautiful Pretender and The Princess and the Pea, so you combined 2 fairy tales in this one.
Yeah.
And how did you decide which ones to put together? Because this one's a Robin Hood, Swan Lake, and then we have a Princess and the Pea and Beauty and the Beast.
Well, I was trying to decide. I knew that Thomas Nelson wanted some fairy tale retellings for me, and I was trying to think how I could make them different from my first. So I thought, it would be fun to do because I really wanted to do another Beauty and the Beast story, but I thought I could combine it with something else and it would, change the dynamic a little bit. So I actually had a Beauty and the Beast story, and it was The Beautiful Pretender. But my agent wasn't crazy about it. And so then I started thinking, and that's when I decided to do mashups. But I thought, well, I could do a Robin Hood Swan Lake story. And then the second book could be, I don't know how I decided to do a Beauty and the Beast, Princess and the Pea. It would make sense for the Margrave, if he needed to get married, to have test out the women. So, and that was kind of the same concept of Princess and the Pea. The prince is testing out these women to see if they're princess worthy or whatever. So I don't know. I don't remember my thought process on that exactly, but I had started that story, and then I stopped and came up with the Huntress of Thornbeck Forest story.
Well, the mashup is really unique, and like having the two, like the way you choose them, or maybe it's just the way you write in general. Like you take elements of those, and they become very prominent in the book, but they don't overtake the story lines, and the story itself is unique and on its own. Yet it has like such awesome elements of the fairy tale retellings in them. And I think that's what's so cool about them. But those mashups are really unique. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
And like it's true, like you see them in like the fairy tale retelling series is kind of just taking off in a lot of YA genre, not just Christian YA genre. But you find that they're either just combining the individual fairy tales into a big series, but you don't find them combined in one book together. And that's what I really liked about like the Hunters of Thornbeck Forest, a female Robin Hood, like, there's actually, sorry?
I'm sorry. I'm losing the audio on a lot of what you guys are saying.
Oh no. Is it cutting out for you?
It's really broken. Like I'm only hearing a few words that you're saying.
Maybe
I don't know how to fix that.
it's okay. It's okay for me too. So maybe it's a Wi-Fi or some sort of connection.
Yeah, you're coming in now. Now I'm hearing everything.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's my weak signal that I or something.
It could be. It could be. Sometimes too. Sorry. Go ahead.
We just had a big storm come through, so it could have made it weak or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it could.
Okay, well,
and sometimes talking at the same time. Sorry, Angela.
Give us a shout or something if we start breaking up again.
Okay.
Okay. Fairy tale elements. I loved, like, I'm finding that the female archer is getting really popular. I have Dina Slayman's book, Dauntless, and then A Daring Sacrifice by Jodie Hedlund. They both had female archers, and then The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest came out around the same time. And I love the female archer theme. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, Katniss, like, just keep giving me female archers. It's great.
I lost you again.
Oh.
Oh no.
I lost you right after you said A Daring Sacrifice by Jody Hedlund.
Okay. I said, like, we're getting a lot of female archers, but I love that we have female archers. Like, it's definitely a character I'm not I love female archers. But I also like the fact that Swan Lake didn't seem like, I was wondering how you were going to put those elements into it. And I really liked how you came up with the masquerade ball for that mix-up of identities.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating, and I think I've mentioned, too, that you write fairy tales in a realistic way. Like, there's no magic, no fairy godmothers, no, evil witches, except for Ferris Beauty. That woman was a piece of work.
There was also that guy, was that in the Ferris Beauty? He was really, really dark. I think
Healer's Apprentice.
Healer's Apprentice. Yeah, he was creepy. He was so creepy. But he was kind of like that evil witch, warlocky guy.
Yeah.
So these two had magic, in a way, in them.
I couldn't figure out how to do a Sleeping Beauty story without having someone who was just kind of demon possessed.
Yeah, and you did it really well. Very realistic.
Yeah.
I think that's what actually sold me on your books, was the fact that they prayed and woke her up, and they turned to God in that, and that's how she was released and free from that. And I was like, this is fantastic. And just touching actually back on the Silent Songbird, because I think we're talking about every book, but
it'll take forever now. But it's still good.
But the Silent Songbird, again, with with a Little Mermaid, it's like, how do we actually get a mermaid, ideal? And like I said, it was so great to watch a character really be a fish out of water in a different way. And at first, I found that with Evangeline, it was kind of insta-lovey on her part, where she was just so taken by Wesley. But once they grew, I realized that, like, if I was kind of meeting somebody that I had expectations of that world from, I would probably be going through what she did. And she kind of grew from that too. So it wasn't an insta-love, but it looked like an insta-love, but then it grew into a better developed, like, mature relationship out of that.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do that, because in The Little Mermaid, the Disney movie, she is just, lovesick over this guy that she doesn't even know, that she just saw. And so I didn't want my character to go through the entire story, my heroine to go through the entire story being lovesick and, sighing over. At the same time, to me, it was realistic to have her, sort of fall in love with him immediately, because he was a sweet guy. She never met a guy before who was, remotely the kind of the age that she was, and someone cute. So.
Yeah, I think it captured that really well. And then I think, like you said, Angela, like, it going into the relationship more was really neat. And I think they had a little fight in there where she was kind of like, "Or you're going to tell me what to do," and and so it's kind of neat to watch her kind of, stand up and to defend him. Was really cool to see too. So she was a little bit of an archer as well.
I know.
Yeah.
I was excited when they were, like, teaching her archery. I was like, yes, another one.
Yeah, I wanted her to be strong. I always want my heroines to be strong, but, realistic too.
I think you do like a really good balance sometimes. Like it depends on the character. Like sometimes you have them strong in simply their character. Like maybe not physically, but their character is so strong and you know they're strong, even though they may not be physically strong. And I'm kind of thinking of Annabelle right now. She's very strong, but she's, you know, in her situation has weakened her. But she is such a strong character with her faith, and just, yeah, those elements in the story is what I cling to. And like you get the strong characters too who have maybe a lot of weaknesses. And in the Silent Songbird, we see that, you know, Evangeline has an incredible weakness to her because she's desperate, like we were talking about earlier, and which ultimately brings her closer to God. But in the same sense, she's tough, you know. I think she's part Scottish or something. The red hair. But yeah, I really think like the character aspects that you build in them. I don't know, how hard is it for you to balance out figuring out if the character is going to be strong, and in what areas?
It is really hard because I don't want my heroines to all be the same. I want them to have their own personalities and their own things that they're good at or bad at, and but that's hard. I have to be able to relate to the heroines, so I always put, you know, certain aspects of myself or things that I've gone through into them. So yeah, it is hard. It's hard, but it usually works out according to the story, how the story's working out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've mentioned like too that I find nowadays with YA where people say, "Oh, we want strong female characters." It's almost like a trend now to have strong female heroines and characters in their books. It's like everybody wants a Katniss. And like, and as fantastic as the Hunger Games was, like, I don't just want a whole bunch of fighting kick butt females that I can't relate to. But when I'm reading your fairy tale retellings and Evangeline too, like, I think that's what I love, and I wish younger Angela had these books. Like, I'm just wishing, because I was addicted to medieval romance, but I always found myself, unfortunately, in the adult section, and there's content in there that younger me shouldn't have read. And then even some of the Christian adult fiction, they kind of sneak that in there too. And then I even had middle grade that snuck that in there too, and I was so disappointed. And now I'm reading these beautiful, strong female characters that, like, Evangeline has that moment in the church where she's just, you know, kind of pours her heart out to God and says, okay, I have all this guilt on me for lying. I feel so terrible. I'm like, am I worthy to be loved by these people? And but like just to be shown love by Lady Annabelle, and she's just so overwhelmed, and she has that moment, and that was so great to read that they have these weaknesses, like all of them have their weaknesses, and then yet all of them get to do something cool within their weaknesses and grow from that. And even though by the end of it they're not all perfect and figured out and got all their stuff together, but they're still who they are. And yeah, like just reading all of these is absolutely incredible. And like I said, I wished younger Angela had these books, but I'm so glad older Angela gets them.
Yeah. And we can pass them on and encourage other people to read them, and that's what both of our channels is about, Angela, which is really cool.
Yeah, I have recommended your books, Melanie, to as many as like bookworms in my church, like the young girls in my church. Like, I'm like, oh, have you tried this book? And some girls, they're not so big on the fairy tale retellings, but you know, I think it was the size of the series that daunted my one girl. She thinks she read one book and then was too busy. But I was like, oh, you got to read this. I had her mom read half of them too, and it's so good to come to church as a youth leader, and I have moms asking me, oh, what would you recommend for my daughters to read? It's like, just go buy everything Melanie Dickerson has written, and you have like fantastic role models. Yeah, like you have fantastic role models, you have strong female characters, you have faith elements that young girls can relate to, because as Evangeline, like her infatuation with Wesley, like as a, I was gonna say a young girl, but like let's just be realistic here. As a woman, like I've had those issues where it's like, oh, this guy's so sweet, and then you just build this infatuation, and then you realize this is really not good. And Evangeline had that moment, and that was so relatable for me. And yeah, just really, I could go on forever.
I know.
You know, just.
Oh, that's great.
Do you want to go into characters, Angela?
I think I forget what we all talked about.
Well, we did. I know we were talking about a lot. So I was gonna go into. I wanted to say something about. Okay, so it kind of goes along with what we're talking about, anyways. So Annabelle's sincere faith and kindness is again shown in is brought into the Silent Songbird, and when going back to the characters like Annabelle and Lord Ranulph the Wise, after they have aged and been through life, is it hard, and what kinds of things do you consider, Melanie, when you're writing them?
You mean the older characters?
Yeah, because now they're all older.
Oh, yeah, that was kind of hard. I was really excited to revisit them and to, pull them into another story, but it was kind of hard too, because I had to really think about what their character was like in the original story, and then try to estimate, what they would be like as 40, 50 something year olds. So it was kind of hard, but it was fun too.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, like, I couldn't imagine, like, I have a hard time sometimes with my mom. I'm like, wow, she's changed so much over the years. Like, I couldn't imagine writing someone else's parents, and how they would respond, and then the children making their own lives. And yeah, that's why I thought of the question. I thought, oh my goodness, that would be very difficult.
Yeah, it was a little hard.
Anything to add, Angela?
What?
Any comments or anything to add? I haven't seen any comments or anything.
Oh, no, like, we got 2 people, I think.
Hello. Oh, that's good. Hi.
I never know, though, if that's us watching. Never mind. Anyway, just... But I liked, too, because, like, you get the older characters, so you get Rose and Lord Hamlin, because you get all of their kids.
Uh-huh.
And so you get to see how Rose and Lord Hamlin have dealt with everything. And I think the last time you see them is in The Golden Braid. And I don't know, there's just that moment where Rapunzel gets brought back to that family that was just so touching. And because you've watched Rose from the first one and you know her character, you know how she loves her family and her kids, and to have that reunion was just so exciting for me.
Yeah.
Because you grew with this family and you got to see the, and I almost completely forgot about the missing daughter from the Princess Spy until I pretty much finished The Golden Braid, and I'm like, wait.
See, I caught that one.
But
yeah. Sorry?
Wasn't that the first one that Melanie read?
It was, and then at the end, like when I was going back, I caught on to it. So it's so funny because I was like, wait a minute, that's in the Golden Braid. But I totally didn't catch Colin and all the other ones that you guys are talking about. Like, how they all, I didn't catch that at all.
Well,
but the actual, like, from Rose and, what's Rose's husband's name? William?
Lord Hamwell.
Wilhelm?
Yeah. Well, he's Lord Hamlin and then he's Wilhelm.
Oh,
Yeah. The reason why I remember that is because we call my oldest son Wilhelm.
You do?
Yes. Because we have an English background. Kilsby's name is English from my husband's side.
Oh.
So we call him Wilhelm. Anyways, side note. So how is it, like, is it hard for you to, like, write characters like Lord Chivalry or Sabina, like, that are who are the antagonists in the roles?
Those are the hardest, and I don't like to write in their point of view. And I've had editors that have forced me to. They've said, you need to have a few scenes in the villain's point of view. And I'm like, oh, do I have But yeah, I kind of get into it though eventually. I mean, I know you just imagine what it would be like if you were so jealous that you would kill someone. I don't know. It's not as hard as it seems before I actually do it.
I know. Well, and I think it is hard. That's why I always ask, because I'm like, how to get in the mindset of somebody that's totally not like you, you know? So it's like, and something you wouldn't necessarily do, you know, or, and how to, like, calculate that.
I read stuff about, like, serial killers to tell you the truth.
That's good to know.
So I think about how they must think and their thought process. And plus, I mean, we all have moments where we've hated someone or we've been so jealous or, you know, selfish, and it's not really that hard to imagine.
That's so funny.
After you really think about it.
That's really good to know, because I would never, like, honestly, it's a I think a hard thing to do, and to get in the mindset would be probably ideal to research it and to read up on the things, like those things, or the psychological mindset of what they could be going through, you know.
Yeah, I read articles about, you know, psychopaths and sociopaths and people with narcissistic personality disorder, things like that, and you know, that's helpful, I think, when I'm writing my villains.
Yeah, I always wondered what people would think if they looked at our research on our history for the, you know, whatever. It would probably not look very good.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the FBI has run across a few writers who have looked up a lot of stuff about poisons and murders and how to kill someone. And
I just read one of Lynette Eason's books. She's an amazing author too, and I was shocked at, like, how the murder took place and the knowledge of, like, medicine and just, like, all that stuff, and you're like, I wonder how she knew about that. You just, you know, and obviously she had to do her research, but yeah, I'm amazed at the extents that you have to go to get the you know, research. And I think for your book, this book here, you did quite a lot of research for it, didn't you?
yeah, this is only my second book that is set in medieval England, and in a lot of ways medieval England is harder because it was such a complicated judicial system. It was complicated. Just their laws were so complicated, and all the you know, the different social levels of people I don't know. It's pretty complicated, medieval England. So yeah, I had to do a lot of research, especially for The Merchant's Daughter. I remember that was really difficult book to write, and part of it was because of all the research.
I like you can tell though. Like I was going to bring up, now I lost my point, but you can tell though the amount of research that is put into the Silent Songbird and the Merchant's Daughter, because like I wouldn't have known any of that. And like I like it when authors do point out that I had to look this up. I had to work on this. I wanted to put really real elements to it, and I felt that too in Hagenheim. I'm trying to come back to my point I just had, because we were talking about research and I wanted to move into research and I lost my point.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was it about when we were doing, well, the reason why I thought about it was because when we saw the blog tour, Angela,
Yes.
There was a write-up on it that, Melanie, I think you wrote up, and I think part of that actually played a role in the book that was actually prominent.
Yeah, I brought out 3 things that I had researched. One was Richard II and his life and his personality, and one was the graffiti on the church wall.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I actually got the idea for that scene that you mentioned earlier about when she was racked with guilt and she was in the church and she was praying, and from reading an article about medieval church graffiti and all this graffiti that they've discovered on medieval church walls, and it's like kind of a universal thing. So they think that it was kind of, well, it was totally accepted, I guess, by the priests for people to come and like, you know, scratch out a picture or initials or a date or something on the wall. It was like, they think it was like a prayer ritual almost, where people were trying to get their prayers answered, and I think they felt that God maybe would pay more attention if you know, he saw this, you know, that they were putting on the wall. And sometimes they would put them.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask Angela if she remembered her thought yet.
I got it.
Okay.
Like I love the amount of research put into it and the history, and not just like I found that like that was probably my favorite scene. I have such a hard time picking quotes out of books, but I like moments. So that was definitely a really good moment that I really enjoyed, because that's when I really kind of related to her. But also just with, like I mentioned, with medieval fairy tales or just medieval romances, when I was younger, looking for these books, I had a lot of problems with the content of like physical content and stuff. Like they always have to throw kissing and sexual content in these medieval books. But when you think about the actual historical setting, like when I think there's a lot of it in The Fairest Beauty and The Captive Maiden, when a lot of the time the main male and female character were separated or by themselves, there was that idea of impropriety that they're like, we shouldn't, like, just being alone with the girl. The guy was worried about her reputation and integrity, and he had that character of, you know, that idea, thinking about her in that way. And that's also very historical, because you said it in Holy Roman Empire time period in Germany. And historically, yeah, the women were like it's a very modest time in history, and yeah, like you wouldn't be alone with anybody of the opposite gender.
I think she mentions too, Melanie, I think you mentioned too in the Silent Songbird, when Evangeline was considering leaving, she was like, I'm not going to be going out with a chaperone. Like, it was kind of a big deal, and it goes back to the history of what Angela's saying, like of that time period. There was chaperones, there was, modesty was important.
Yeah, to be completely honest, I don't know exactly how. I know that during that time that they would have protected a girl who was valuable, as you would say, like the ward of the king. She would be very much protected, or anyone who was hoping would make an advantageous marriage would guard their modesty, would guard their reputation, and would not want them, spending time alone with a man. But I think later in maybe like the 1800s, it was a little bit more strict than it was during the medieval times. But I feel like it was stricter than the popular novels would have you believe, because in our modern times we don't even think twice about going on a date with a guy, just a girl and a guy alone, or popular culture doesn't think anything of that. But it wasn't like that in medieval times, and so that's kind of what I was trying to convey in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's kind of going back to wishing like younger Angela had these, because like that's a very more realistic setting too. And I think in our conversation with Sarah Ella, in her book Unblemished, she really wanted to convey the power of what a kiss meant. And I like too that in your series, like just because they had feelings for each other, they didn't try to go in for kisses. There was moments where the girl wondered, like, is he gonna kiss me? Like, what do I do if he does? Because I don't even know how I'm supposed to feel about this moment. So there's always those little moments of tension, but none of that really happens until the plot and the problems are resolved and you kind of know how their happily ever after is going to play out. And that's when they're sure of how they feel for each other. They're know that this is who God has placed them with, and then you have the happily ever after kiss at the end. And that's what I liked too, is that the kiss was special, the kiss was important.
I think too, Melanie, what I love about your writing in regarding relationships and stuff is that you look to the character and the characteristics. Like even here, this was my favorite quote, was, "She was so beautiful when she was thinking and staring at nothing." And I just love it because it just shows like how he loved her for just who she was, and how the heroine also loved him for who he was. And I like that kind of element, not just like they're so good looking or they're this or they're that, and then it's all like superficial, whereas they're genuinely building their relationship based on things that are just simple everyday life that is really neat about each of the characters and who they really are. So that's what I loved about the relationship too. But I wanted to quote, and I don't know if you have it there, Angela, either, but that scene where she sketches into the stone.
Yeah.
Can I quote it?
Sure. I don't have physical.
Melanie, do you mind if I do?
Oh, no, go ahead.
So it says, finding a smooth place on the stone wall, she took out her table knife, which she carried in her pocket. Sorry, I'm trying to read without my glasses. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to put them on. Sorry. Finding a smooth place on the stone wall, she took out her table knife, which she carried in her pocket, and started carving. In a few moments, she had written, "Absolve me." Beside it, she carved 3 crosses. "Remember me, Lord," she whispered, "the way you remembered the thief on the cross beside you. I don't want to lie anymore. Love me, please love me, in spite of my selfishness." So good. But that was the scene that we're all talking about. And it's just like, it was so moving and touching because it's like the honest, real love that she truly desired, actually, and wanted. And I just thought, wow, you know, it's a great redemption story for her and her search for God, in a sense, and love. And it was just really beautifully written.
Well, it's a no-no to write a story where the heroine's goal is to get married or to have a guy fall in love with her. But in this story, I kind of went for it anyway because, you know, it's just, I don't know, I think it was a powerful image of, you know, wanting something, and then she realizes that that isn't really the thing that she even needs the most. At, you know, toward the end of the story, she realizes.
Yeah, and it kind of made her free to be able to love him, even
Yeah.
more. So it's
Yeah.
and it goes along the story of the Little Mermaid, because she wants this escape and she so desperately wants to get out of where she thinks she's trapped. And yeah, the father just really loved her, you know, and it was, yeah, it's totally perfect. What do you think, Angela?
Well, yeah, like my hunt for the Little Mermaid retelling has, you know, succeeded, and I really liked just her. I just loved her, and I was really, and you know, it wasn't wrong of her to want somebody like Wesley and to see him, his character, his faith, his strength, his ability to want to see the best of people. And that is nothing wrong to look for that. And I thought it was like, you know, as someone who's single, you know, in the end, her main drive was to realize that God loved her, and to find love by realizing that she was loved first, and that her main goal wasn't to find a guy, but at the same time, you know, if God brings somebody in your life who is, you know, of the good quality, of good character, who has him first in his life, then, you know, that's not wrong to desire that either. And that's what I really liked throughout this. And I thought it was such a good message to pass on to girls and to and women who read these books. And like, I don't know if guys read these books too. This isn't typically a guy genre, but if guys read these books, you know, they have great male role models as well to look up to. And I think we got to wrap up in a minute or two here, but you know, it's just, yeah, that's what I really liked about it. And it was nice that the elements you added from the Little Mermaid, like her voice, and I was kind of wondering how you'd element like the whole being mute and losing her voice, and that was done perfectly, so well. And her hair color, and you know, like I as a kid had the biggest crush on Prince Eric, so like I think I have a bigger crush now on a character like Wesley.
So funny.
It was, it was definitely overall just a fantastic storyline, and I believe it's the last one of the series.
Well, I have plans to do 2 more.
Yay!
I want to do Kirsten and Wolfgang. Do you remember them? They were 2 of the siblings. Rose and Wilhelm's children, younger children.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
So Kirsten is going to fall in love with an Aladdin. And Wolfgang is going to be part of a Mulan story.
This is so exciting. Now,
oh my gosh.
So really quickly, I wanted to ask you, because we didn't go over writing styles, but POVs are always written in third person, right? Yeah. Are you thinking about ever doing it in first person? I like the third person personally, but I just was going to ask you.
I've never thought too much about doing a first person story. My very first book that I wrote before The Healer's Apprentice was in first person, and then I rewrote it in third person. And I've just written in third person ever since.
Well, it's neat because then we get into the mind of the villains.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So Aladdin and Mulan.
Yes, it's kind of supposed to be a secret, I guess.
Oh, this is live.
Oh, well.
Well, we won't tell anybody.
Yeah, I've already put it on.
Sorry.
I've already put it on Goodreads, so.
I think I saw it there anyways. But it'll be our mute secret.
Well, that actually brings us into, I was going to ask you, so wrapping up here, I have to keep the Melanies. So wrapping up here, Melanie, I was going to ask you, so what's next? I know we have some books coming out in 2017, and you just dropped an awesome secret, which totally made my day. So what's next for us?
Well, I have a Regency series, and the Regency Spies of London. The second book is A Viscount's Proposal, and it comes out in February. The Noble Servant comes out in May, and that's the third book in the Thornbeck series. And then the third book in the Regency Spies of London series comes out in September, if I can finish it on time. So yeah, it's the Aladdin story should come out in 2018, and then the Mulan story, it may be 2019 before that one comes out.
Wow. Well, we'll wait. I'll pre-order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to, I think I don't have to wait very long for a new book from you. And I think, it's so hard with authors that you love. I think I've waited, there's so much time in between, Jodie Hedlund's Uncertain Choice trilogy. There's, space in between, and same with Dina Slayman's. I still haven't gotten the third book. But, when you're waiting and waiting for just your new, I can't remember if Suzanne Collins has written anything since The Hunger Games. You're just waiting for authors to write stuff. And I know with your books, they seem to come out every season. So I'm completely satisfied, and I have a book to read until the next one comes out.
Yeah, I've been writing 3 books a year, which well, it's more like 2.5 books, because 2 of the ones that have come out were already half anyway. I've been writing 3 books a year, so you've been getting 3 books a year from me, but it's gonna slow down because I just can't keep up the pace.
I'll just keep pre-ordering and everything, no matter what the pace is, because anything you write, I just love it. So
yeah.
Thanks for having me tonight. I appreciate it.
Thanks for being on here with us. We greatly appreciate having your input and hearing more about your process for everything. And it's been a lot of fun. And I think this is probably our longest running live show because we've had so much fun on it. So thank you, Melanie, for being here with us tonight. Hopefully, maybe in the future, with all your future books, we might hopefully have you again. That would be fun. And yeah, good luck with all of your fantastic stories coming out. And so, Melanie, co-host, it's your turn to announce what's next for the book club.
Okay, so we have the next read is
I don't have a copy yet.
You haven't had a copy yet?
No.
Oh. So, and it's by Kara Isaac. It's the number 2 book, and I don't think you necessarily have to read the first book, Angela. Is that
No,
correct?
They're not a duology. They're
individual.
I don't even think they're connected. They're just, one's Tolkien, one's C.S. Lewis.
Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to this, and we're both looking forward to this book. This is a new to me author, but Angela's already read her and loved her, so we're looking forward to it. And we have a special, exciting news about this. We contacted the author, and she agreed to send us some goodies. So we have some New Zealand goodies and also some other stuff we worked on really hard to make special for you guys as a giveaway. So, yeah, the date, again, Angela, we just made it was for January 2nd, was it?
Yeah, January 2nd, same time, same place.
Yeah, for the live show. So we'll be doing the live show, and at that live show we'll announce the giveaway. And Angela will have a lot more details coming up with her Vlogmas, so you definitely need to check it out and keep tabs on what's going on.
Yeah, I'll be announcing a video that gives you more details of what's kind of involved in the giveaway. So we're working with an author. We're also working with another booktuber / bookstagrammer. So we're got some treats for you guys, and so we're running the giveaway all of December and announcing the winner, like Melanie said. So I'll have a video up with how you can enter, what's involved, and all of that fun stuff. So thanks again, Melanie, for coming. And
thank you.
Thanks, Melanie.
You're
Yeah.
very welcome.
That was fun.
We love you very much, and I hope we didn't keep you up too late.
Oh, no, it's fine.
All right, so we're going to sign off now, guys. Bye.
Bye.